Only 2% people are comfortable to work or accept transgender. 98% people have negative attitude towards their. We all think what should to do to bring about the change in our attitude to accept them. Ma'am also elaborated the types of teacher and the learner. She further added, teacher community should be like a tree who provide shelter and shadow to their learner through various activities like blindfold, name game, three distance, make a list, ear to ear, a listening game, etc. Ma'am explained about the problems that learning disabled children face, and as a teacher, how can we help them in solving their problems. Session of the FDP concluded with the question answer session. The session was very useful and knowledgeable. Every point were discussed in detail. How a teacher can play his or her role to handle differently disabled children. The experience shared by ma'am was quite fantastic. At last, vote of thanks was presented by principal ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Professor Dr. Gurjeet Kaur. Now, I humbly request respected Principal Ma'am Dr. Tripta Parmar to formally welcome all dignitaries and participants of today's program.
Hello. Am I audible, Dr. Dolly?
Yes, ma'am.
I, on behalf of Sandarbara Singh College of Education, Guru Ramdas B.Ed College of Education, Canway College of Education, Abohar, welcome the dignitaries and the resource person, the faculty members of different collaborating institutions to the virtual platform of Sandarbara Singh College of Education on the 7 days faculty development program. Today's our resource person is Dr. Sneh Bansal, as she is busy with some very urgent assignment. She has deputed in her place her faculty member. I request her faculty to introduce herself and start her address.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for the proceedings. Ma'am, I am Dr. Inu Sambyal, and I have done my post-graduation and PhD from my Punjab University, Chandigarh. And recently I got the degree of my PhD. The work of my PhD was, ma'am, I was just introducing. So Dr. Sneh ma'am is over here, ma'am. So she is come. Yes, ma'am.
You understand. Hello.
Yeah, hello. A very good afternoon, everyone. I'm very sorry. Yes. Apologize for being so late.
No, ma'am. You're in time. Ma'am, you're in time.
Oh, thank you so much, ma'am. So I'll just settle down my laptop because
it's okay, ma'am. It's okay. It's okay.
Just get me on my camera also. Yeah. So here I am. Yeah,
ma'am, a warm welcome. Ma'am, your profile is not with me, so you introduce yourself. Please tell us something about you, and after that you just start your address.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Tripta ji, for inviting me for this 7 days FG program on inclusive education. I'm Dr. Sneh, working in the field of inclusive education for more than decades, actually. And at the ground level also, I have tried to understand what are the basic issues and the problems these kind of children are facing. And most importantly, how we can empower, how we can train the teachers. Because now if you look upon the inclusive education, main agenda is the lack of training among the teachers. So how to empower, how to train the teachers are the major concern. This also I have taken. And majorly, my research work is also in inclusive education. I have done a number of research projects with the different government organizations, including Education Department also, with the NCRT. And at present, I'm a master trainer of the inclusive education of the capacity building program being conducted by CBSE, Chandigarh and Panchkula, and a resource person of INPA, that's the National Portage Association, Chandigarh, which provides training and the courses on inclusive education and learning disabilities. So that's all about myself, and it's an honor to see all the participants' interest and enthusiasm in this particular topic, because this is actually the need of the hour, and it helps us to achieve our sustainable development goal, which is specifically the goal number 4, which talks about quality education, which talks about inclusive education. So before I begin with my session, I request all the participants, if you can just on your camera, and so that I could see all of your lovely faces, and we can interact with each other, we can make ourselves more engaged, right? Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So I'm sure you all are using your laptop as well. Are you all using your laptop or your desktop?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the one who are using the laptop and desktop, because I always believe it's important to engage all the participants when it comes to online teaching, because listening to the participants all the time, it's more like you are just talking to the wall. But more important is you just need to connect ourselves, we need to engage ourselves, so that all the time we need to be very active and we need to be alert, right? So I have few activities for all the participants, which actually makes you more equipped and understandable towards the inclusive education. So are you all ready and gear up for the session now? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes? Yeah, great, great. So I'm going to share my screen with all of you. And okay, just let me know, one link must have been shared with all the participants. Tripta ma'am, have you shared that link with you, the link of the form?
Yes, yes, we have shared that in the group, in WhatsApp group. Is that okay? Gurpreet, we have shared that now?
Yeah, it's okay. So I request all the participants to just go through with that form first and try to fill it, because it will take another 5 minutes to fill that form, and then I'll come back to you, right? Where is my mobile? Yeah, just please, you just please on your... Shama sir, hello? Are you all able to open that form? I'll just going to show you how it's look like.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, that is openable.
Just give me a second. I'm going to share my screen with all of you so that we could just have that. Just hold on, please. I'm going to share my screen with all of you. I'm sure you're all able to open that form, and it's just to make us know what you understand by inclusion first, and then later on we try to understand the efficacy, that is your capacities with respect to including children with disability into your classroom. Okay, so this is the form. I'm sure you are all able to see this form. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So the questions are, well, the various alternatives are being given up before each statement, and you just need to give your viewpoint, and there is no wrong or right answer, right? So it is just your own opinion, and moreover, your own capacity, I shall say, or your own efficacy to make your classroom or to include children with disabilities into your regular school or regular classroom, right? So okay, right. So like once the form is being Once the form is being filled, just let me know. You can write down your response in the chat box once you fill up the form so that we can proceed with other activity. Are you all done with this? Or shall I wait for another 2-3 minutes?
Ma'am, we don't have that form right now. I mean, we are unable to access
Okay,
the coordinators. Yeah, ma'am.
I'm going to share that form with you. Just hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just share this link with you. Okay, I'm just putting up in the chat box. I think the form has already been uploaded now. So you can just on this form. Yeah. So you can, or meantime, what you can do is later on the form, you can just, Gurjeet ma'am, would you please on your mic? You are not audible. Are you trying to say? Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, I am filling the form too.
Okay. So we can take another 5 minutes. Can we give you? Okay. So you just go ahead with this, please.
I am physically about student to be the best student. I can make my expectation clear as student. I can make my expectation clear as student.
Fine. The one like it's for the one who done with this form. I have put up another link for you. So you just need to browse this link. That's a meet.ps/look. So you can just browse this link. And I have another activity for you so that we get to know who all are here and what's your interest. I've already put up the link with all of you. Right. Can you all able to see this My Meeting homepage? Are you able to see this My Meeting homepage? I put up one more link in the chat box. You can just open that link. You just need to browse this link. Just copy this link into your Google and then just let's see who all are here with us. We have Dr. Hrinder Kumar from Patiala. Okay. We have Sudeep Kishore, a research scholar from Dehradun. And we have people from, Dehradun. Mostly the people are from Dehradun, right? Are you all done with this form? This is the form which talks about your, efficacy to promote inclusive education. Okay, one participant have already joined me slide, and I can see 2 participants have joined. So what I request all of you is I have put one more link in the chat box. Just try to open that link, browse that link, and once you browse that link, you will land up to the Meeting Plus page. And once I get a note from all the participants that you have filled the form, I can start with another activity. Shall I go ahead with another activity? Shall I go ahead?
Definitely.
Thanks, Dr. Vijay. So this is another activity I have for all of you. What I want all of you to just browse this link. The link is already being there in the chat box. And I want you to answer those. I'm going to start with this, right? So, okay. I just want to know your background as a profession. Are you a teacher, educator, people teacher, school teacher, administrator, psychologist, special educator, counselor, or other? Only 3 participants have joined. I request other participants also try to just browse this link, just copy this link, put it into your Google Chrome or any search engine which you use. And once you put up this, you will log up to this particular page where you will get all these questions. Okay, so you can answer this. You could see this. Who are you? You can just write down your response. And simultaneously, the one who are not able to open the form, open this particular Meet Plus, you can also put up your answers in the chat box. Talking about how to use these online tools in our teaching learning process, because it will help us to connect with the audience or with the learners. Otherwise, which is not possible, right? Because generally I have a presentation with me and I'm going to give you one lecture. So it may not be very helpful, may not be very interesting at your on end. But when we are using such kind of tools, we are also trying to engage the student. So the kind of tools I'm using over here, basically why I have put up these things, because this particular session is on curriculum adaptation and modification. And when we say we are teaching to a diverse students, because we know the classes are heterogeneous nowadays, and we need to make ourselves empowered so that we can reach to each and every learner. And it could be possible only if I have an alternative way of presenting my information, or an alternative way of engaging my students, or I allow the students to demonstrate their knowledge in a variety of ways. So how it could be possible? It could be possible if I, as a teacher, need to be aware first. Am I right or not? Are you here? Yes, are you all here?
Right, ma'am.
Right. So it's very important as a teacher. Okay, let's see how many people to join this. Only one participant. Okay, in the meantime, the ones who are not able to join, you can just write down your responses in the chat box as well. Okay, now I'm coming to next question, that is inclusive education is. It's a free text question. You can write down your responses. I can see only 2 participants have joined. Why not other participants able to join this Meet Plus?
Ma'am, not
being a more than a year when we have been shifted ourselves to the offline to online mode, and as a teacher, it's being expected that we shall be aware with all these online tools.
But actually, the most of the faculty is in the transition. They have left the college and they have to reach at home.
Okay.
That is the problem. That is the problem.
Okay, right. So what you can do is you can write down your response in the chat box, and then you can use the chat box. The question, I'm sure you're able to see my screen. The question is inclusion in education is. What do you understand by this? I'm looking forward for your responses, because I think this is the 3rd day of the FGP. And now you may be well versed with inclusion, inclusive education, with the diversity, with the individual differences. So what you understand by inclusion? Just want to know from all of you. So one who not able to join this, you can write down your response in the chat box. The chat box is always open. So let's see what is your understanding regarding this. I'm looking forward for in the chat box also, all the responses. What do you understand by inclusion? Inclusion in education. Yes, please. I can't see any response in the chat box yet. What is inclusion according to? Okay, Aarti ma'am said inclusion is to have no discrimination in third gender, special kids, and in normal kids. Okay. Gurjeet ma'am said it is about differently abled. Anybody else? What is inclusion? Okay, because since I'm not able to get answer from the particular tool which I wanted to know from all of you, the background of all of the participants. Are you from the teacher education institution or you are a teacher?
Excuse me, ma'am. Where we click on the meeting pulse?
Yeah, meeting pulse. Okay, you have given your response in the meeting pulse also?
No, ma'am. When I open the meeting pulse, then what should I do? Right.
What shall I? You just meeting pulse, the link of meeting pulse I have. You just need to click that link.
Yes, ma'am. I have clicked.
Hanji. So once you click that link which has been posted in the chat box, you will land up to this page, right? So here you're going to give your ideas. You just need to give your ideas over here. Inclusive education is about the children in different classroom. Right. Okay, so meantime you can write down your response in the chat box as well. I'm very open to this also. Inclusive means to include all type of students in the same class. Okay, right. What else it could be? What else it could be? All kinds of students in one class without any discrimination. Okay, yes. What else? What else? Okay, so you can keep this question with you and right then we can. Okay, do you think like when we talk about inclusion, when we talk about including children in the regular classroom, certain challenges, certain barriers, do you think there are certain concerns for them? If yes, what are those concerns? Just write down your responses. If I say that as a teacher, I'm going to include all children in my classroom, irrespective of any kind of disability, irrespective of any kind of differences or any kind of discrimination, do you think there are certain barriers which actually makes your class more inclusive? Or as a teacher, what kind of challenges you may perceive may come up before you when you have such children in your classroom besides the children whom we call as the average learners or the normal children? Yes, Ji. Hanji, barrier. Yes. Yeah, Shushila ma'am. Inclusion in education refer to all children being able to access and gain equal opportunity to education and learning. Very important. Very important. Because the accessibility, and once we given access to the education, the more important is our classroom shall be accessible. We say that yes, we are open for your admissions, for your enrollment, but when the child is being entered into my classroom, whether I made the changes, whether I go for certain kind of accommodation, which actually support the child in teaching learning process. And that is basically an equal opportunity to education and learning. Very right, Shushila ma'am. Okay, Rita Arul ma'am's right, lack of training. Very right. This is the major concerns we people face with, because even if you look at the research, even not only the Indian studies, but also the Western studies also support that there is a lack of training with respect to the teacher when it comes to inclusion. Because since most of you are from the BEd or from the education college, and we all must be very much aware with this, what kind of training we are providing to our pupil teacher with respect to the inclusive education when we ourselves are not very empowered, when we ourselves are not being trained enough. Infrastructure barrier in India and general awareness is lacking. Attitude of parents, right, very right. So good to see your answer. You all are really catching up the major concerns we have basically in terms of education of children with disabilities. So I have one interesting part in this presentation for all of you. You can make yourself empowered. You can change your attitude. You can make your student equipped with inclusive education. I have developed a one open education course, and it's being designed under Creative Commons, and I'm sharing the link with all of you. You can all are invited to join this course, and this particular course is basically will going to make you empowered and make you understand how we can really make our classroom inclusive, how we can adapt, how we can accommodate the curriculum so that the needs of each and every child is being met. So here, when we talk about inclusion, we are not talking just in terms of disabilities. We are talking more in terms of diversity. We are talking more in terms of differences, where we see that every child has its own strength, every child has its own weaknesses, and the capacity to nurture with a conducive and proper environment. Are you all agree with this? Hanji?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Yeah, Garima ma'am said challenge of using different techniques and strategies at the same time. Okay. But again, Garima ma'am, what I'll suggest say, if as a teacher I'm trained enough, because as a teacher I'm the leader of my classroom, and I quickly get to know the moment I being stand in my classroom what actually works and what does not work. So I think it is more about your classroom management, the skills of engaging your classroom in such a manner that irrespective of any kind of diversity or differences, the need of every child is being taken up. Okay, so you can all go through with this course. I'm just going to show you the glimpse of this particular course, and later on after my session, you can go through with this. All the videos which are being created, the PowerPoint presentations and the material which is being used in this particular course, that's freely downloadable. You can use it for your teaching learning process because it is being designed under Creative Commons license. So what you all get, you will get the concept of inclusive education, where I have talked about what is inclusion, additional resources, and the few activities also which actually going to make you more which actually empower you or help you to reflect upon the practices which you are using in your classroom. Then the second module is an inclusive classroom, where the concept of UGL is being discussed in a very illustrative manner with lots of supportive materials and the reading link which you can use. And beside this, you can always recommend this to your pupil teacher to join this course, because sometimes as a teacher educators also, we are not very much trained, we are not very much aware about what actually going to work and what will not. So this actually comes generally with the practice also. So this you can talk about, it talks about different type of accommodations. You can talk, about the concept mapping, about adaptive assessment, because when it comes to curriculum adaptation and modification, assessment, or rather I will say evaluation, is a major component which the teacher need to look upon, because once we make the child understand one concept, we need to see what the child able to achieve, or what understanding the child is having related to that particular activity. But at the same time, if you say that the child are different in one aspect to another, in terms of learning problem, in terms of emotional aspect, in terms of social problem, so then how you can adapt, or how you can rather modify your assessment so that you cater the needs of each and every child. Am I clear enough? Okay, are you comfortable with the language, or you want me to switch over to the bilingual?
It's
okay, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Right. So the third one is about creating collaborative culture, because this course I have opened for my student. So right now I have closed this activity. But in this way, I have talked about the professional and collaboration for inclusive education. Who all are the professionals, the paraprofessionals? They need to collaborate so that we can design or we can really execute the inclusive classroom. And most importantly, as a school, how we can build inclusive school, which is based upon the comprehensive school reform, or we also call it a whole school approach, where each and every member of the school, either it's a special educator, it's a teacher, it's a student, or it's a community, it's paraprofessional, how are we going to collaborate with each other and what approach we can use. So this is very much being explained in this particular module with lots of activities. Like I'm going to show you like one activity. Just hold on. In this, like I have made one video also related to this, and this video you'll get to know what all the steps we need to take up. And then this is the reading material you will be having. Like you all can download this reading material also. You can see this link, you can download it and also use it as good notes or just the students to understand this concept, right? So I hope like this particular course will be useful for all of you, and you can take up this course to make yourself more enriched with the experiences related to inclusive education. Now moving back to the presentation. Okay, is this visible to all of you? My presentation is visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now.
Yes, ma'am.
So now I can move with this presentation also. Okay, till now, just let me know, is it good to move further? Just let me know.
Ma'am, shall I ask something in between?
Hanji.
Ma'am, see, there is mostly the class is, the strength of the class is around 35 to 40 students, right? And since we are talking about the special kids, so I will not say 5th class and above. I will only take from nursery till 5th. क्योंकि उसके बाद तो क्या होता है, you will come to know the like where they are going to land. मतलब either they are capable enough to go further or things like that. So we'll stick to till from like nursery till 5th. So what my question is, like if I am in a class, ma'am, and there are like 35 to 40 students, the children are there. So how convenient and how easy it is for a teacher to handle, say, 34 normal kids and one child with having some disability, say ADHD, right? And and in that given span of time, like they are given how much, 45 minutes or 40 minutes. So how practical I want to know, because I have never been to any inclusive school before. I'm so curious to know how it is different from a normal school, other than the infrastructural barrier which we have discussed yesterday also, कि ramp बना देना चाहिए, सीढ़ियां भी हो और ramp भी हो, so that both the kids can have the easily access हो जाए. बस में उनको special facility होनी चाहिए कि जिस बस में वो घर से बैठ के आ रहे हैं, is that easy, वो सब हम सोच रहे हैं. But what I want to know is still, like आज तीसरा दिन है, मैं इसके beyond सोच ही नहीं पा रही हूँ कि infrastructure में वो ramp आ गया. What else? Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I hope you got my point.
So, Aarti ma'am, from this small discussion, what I got to know, like you are concerned about two major questions. One is, what if like we have an overcrowded classes with a class of around 30 to 35,
yes,
and we have children with disability. It could be any disability, LD, ADHD, or we have like physically handicapped, we have VI, HI. Even I go beyond to that also, we could have a moderate MI, that's intellectual disability.
Yes, ma'am.
The second question you have asked is what will be done after 5? The child completes the class 5 or the primary classes.
No, ma'am. Before I want to know, like till 5. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
See, Okay, the first question I'm coming to you is about like when we say that we have an out classes, we know that we have a class of 30 to 35. But when we talk about inclusion is not something which is being taken up by single-handed or by one person. Because this particular concept of inclusion was being started in India with the Salmanka statement, if you know about it, when we have a conference where the people, like parent associations were also being there, and this particular concept of special education was being taken up, and later on inclusive education. But we need to understand it from our own context, because we are living in India, and India is a land of diversity, where even in that diversity also, we have our regions which are not technology based, the region where forget about the accessibility of the education, but even the infrastructure or the sheds are missing, right? So we are talking to that extent. But at the same time, I would also like to highlight over here, because I've been working in this field for more than a decade, and I have a personal experience, and I have done lots of field work. I went to a number of classes where these children are being there. So what we people have gathered, and moreover it was being experimented also at the same time. When we have such children in our classroom, it is more important how the teachers take up that class. So the first one is your peer-to-peer tutoring, and then is your collaborative, environment, more important. And you must be aware with this, the peer sensitization is the most important component when it comes to inclusive education. And even if you look upon the lower classes, the child who is having such a problem, the peers are always remain there to support that child. And because there are not any kind of attitudinal barriers, there are no any kind of mindset that the child is having certain disability. What if I would be having such disability if I'm going to be with them? Because this is basically the parent concerns when we already went through. So in that case, what I suggest you, first and foremost important is the structure of our classroom are more important. Because in India, when we see the structure of our classroom, it are more horizontally being designed, where all the tables being, placed in such a way when we have a horizontal structure. But in that horizontal structure, don't you think that connection, that engagement and interaction is being missing up? Because the child who is sitting in first row may be able to interact with you, but the child who is sitting beyond that, you may not able to take the attention of that child. So the first and foremost important, what I always suggest is we need to change our classroom sitting arrangement in such a manner that every child is being taken care of, the attention is being given up. One thing. Second thing is, when you have a different type of disability in your classroom, you need to understand the basic characteristics related to that particular disability. Like you gave me an example of ADHD. If I know I have a child with ADHD in my classroom, that means the child will be very hyperactive, very impulsive, very freaky. We're not going to sit, right, tap his or her fingers. And most importantly, all the time will going to create a mess in the classroom. So in that case, I need to use certain kind of strategy, which will be reminding the child as a prompt, okay, this is the time to sit down, not to, roam here and there, and just be focused on your work. And for this, what we generally do, we have a peer-to-peer strategy, where we will be having a one mentor or one friend who will be taking care of all the needs of such child. And most importantly, like if you are aware of the strategies, we could have a color walls, papers, like where we have a very organized structure. Okay, this is what I expect from all of you to do, right? And then you can use lots of visual cues in our classroom. And most importantly, like the prompts are being there. Law of proximity we can use, where the child, the child assume, okay, the teacher is very near to me. So, when we talk about the overcrowded classroom, it is not actually the classes which are being oversized. It is actually how, as a teacher, I'm going to create such an environment where, irrespective of the number of the students, I'm going to take care of each and every child. Because here, I always say, it is not disability, it is diversity. We all are different from one to another. Maybe here, one may prefer to learn visually, the other may prefer to learn through discussion. So as a teacher, we need to look upon all those learning style also. And in the B.Ed, we have been taught very well the multiple intelligence theory. So if we get to know how we can practically use this multiple intelligence theory into our classroom so that the diversity can be met, I think more than 80% of that problems can be solved. Yeah, Aarti ma'am, am I able to answer your question?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Thank you. So Aarti, what you can do is I'm going to share my mail ID with you. So you can just send me any specific case also. I can also give you few suggestions. And
Ma'am, I have a child with the autism, so I have so many questions to ask.
Right.
Yes,
But nowadays, like even for the autistic children also we'll talk about, there are lots of opportunities. So as a parent, if you are very much aware about it, right? So I think we can do some kind of self-advocacy for them in terms of starting from the very beginning. Just try to look upon the learning preference of your child, the learning structure the child prefer, and most importantly the interest of that particular child, and try to give us such kind of social setting where the child can interact, the child can come up with their own expressions, because nowadays we have an aesthetic skills, and art and craft is one of the way we can give, allow the child to express themselves.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
There are lots of art, and nowadays even in NEP also integration of art is very well being emphasized. So I think you can go ahead with this also. And like you can just, I'll just share my mail ID with you, or you can take from Tipta ma'am also. So I'm going to share a few reading material for you as a parent, which you can really look upon for the autistic child. And right now I'm also working upon an app which is going to help the teachers to screen their children with any kind of disability. Though it is at the initial stage, but yes, the work is on because it requires a lot of technical efforts and technical team to execute it.
Ma'am, that's the only reason I am doing this PhD actually, because what we see and what is practically happening is the two different things, ma'am.
Right. I know.
I mean, inclusion will take, I think, not less than 15-20 years to have that full-fledged, in fact, much more than that. Inclusion is just, it is so difficult to find 1, 2. मैम छोटी डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स में तो you will not able to get the inclusive schools, मिलेंगे ही नहीं आपको.
Even आप अगर आरती यहाँ पे भी urban sector में भी बात करते हो, तो वहाँ पे so-called they are exclusive, but they are not working in an exclusive manner. They have their special classes, they have their special cells where the students are being placed and special attention is being given up.
Ma'am, they are charging like hell, and they ask for the shadow teacher, the special educator, and the parent need to take all the burden. Well, anyways, ma'am, yes, my answer is
but I must say you are really a very bold and very brave parent, and I'm sure you able to come out from this and going to support your child in each and every aspect of their life. So wishing you all the very best, Aarti, for this.
Yeah. I will try my level hard, ma'am. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So moving further, like any more question if the participants are having, I'm ready to give, because my own experience I'm going to share with all of you. I work very closely with almost all type of disabilities, and now because my experiences if can help somebody, so nothing like that, it will be a great help to everybody. Yes. So shall I move further, or any questions, if any, we can take up?
Hello.
Hanji ma'am.
Ma'am, actually yesterday we were having session with Dr. Mandeep Kochar from BPTC Kolaba, Mumbai. So there, after the whole discussion, whole day's session, the session started by 10:30 or 10:45, it was concluded by 2:30. So it was a very long session. We came to conclusion. There was some suggestion that came to my mind only. We must have some inclusive day that should be included in the B.Ed curriculum. In 1 week time, we must give inclusive education, inclusive class experience to our would-be teachers.
Right.
They can be sensitized through that practice.
Right.
It's a great idea, ma'am. Yes, it's a great idea actually. Yes.
Very right, ma'am. But here I would like to add also over here, like when we talk about inclusion, ma'am, I think for this inclusion, we need to create our classroom more inclusive. So it's instead of 1 week in a day, the sensitization should be from the very beginning, the moment the student take an admission in our institution, like the moment they enter into the institution. Because when we see our registration form also, it talks about gender most of the time, and moreover that materials are also not being accessible. So I think that accessible material, the alternatives need to be taken up, and we need to sensitize them. Yes, very right, with such kind of activities, one activity or one day in a week. But beside that, what if we're going to create such culture where the spirit of inclusion can be created in each and every child with every moment? And it could be possible, but it could be possible only if we have that vision, or we are working on that inclusive philosophy. Because what I have observed, inclusion is not something which I, you, or other person can do. It is always a mutual effort. Everybody has its own role, and everyone has to take its ownness. That's what I believe. I'm sure you almost agree with this.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So, Dipta ma'am, shall I continue now?
Sure, ma'am.
Okay, so I'm going to leave this. I'm straight away coming up with these two terms. Okay, so because since we have special educators and moreover parents and teachers with us, do you think there is any difference between the accommodation and intervention? Because you generally may have heard this term, accommodation and intervention. This is an online class. Otherwise, I would love to take up, this particular topic physically with lots of activities and make you equipped actually, to make you understand more and make you feel, more importantly, all those terminology and concept, how we can apply it. Okay, you might have heard this accommodations, like this particular topic is on curriculum adaptation and accommodation, right? So generally, you may come across with number of terms in inclusive education, specifically in terms of accommodation, intervention, and modification. Do you think there are certain differences between these three terms?
Yes, ma'am. Accommodation means, मतलब ये मेरी समझ है कि just to fix one outside thing, outside person to the already present environment. Say to have one disabled child in a classroom is to accommodate that particular child in that classroom. Early intervention, you said intervention, ma'am. That it comes like जब छोटे होते हैं ये बच्चे, it becomes easy to tackle, to understand, to nurture, to shape up the child. So that intervention, it helps a lot. वो लिखते भी हैं मैम, बोलते भी हैं that early intervention is always better than if you do it, if you delay the things. So I think that intervention has to happen in an very early stage, so that will help us to the max. Yes, ma'am. I think मेरी समझ से, ma'am, this is what I understand.
Anybody else? See, we are here to just share our own views and our understanding. I can elaborate more about it and make you clear about this particular two terms. Okay, let me make you clear with this. You may have observed when you have children with special needs in your classroom, the children may have particular problem with the writing or reading. This is a general problem which you may have come across when you talk about the children with special needs. अगर आप उसमें LD लो, ADHD लो, अगर आप उसमें intellectual disabled लो, कोई भी disability लो, major writing is a major concern. I'm just giving you one example, and with this example, I'm going to make you understand the difference between these two terms, accommodation and intervention. If I say that in the writing, the child is having a spelling problem, right? So in the intervention, what I will do, I will be working on that spelling skills. In my class, I have a special class. I'll call that child and working on that particular of those words. But when it comes to your accommodation, what I will do, I'm going to ask the child to write down your idea, though may not be in the form of text, but in the form of some kind of graphic organizer or in the form of concept organizer, where still the child is going to work on the ideas part. That means I'm going to check, or I'm going to expect that the child level shall remain the same, but the form or the alternative of giving that expression has been changed. Have you understood the example I gave you? अब अगर आइडिया के ऊपर काम करना है एकोमोडेशन में, मैंने बच्चे को राइटिंग का काम नहीं दिया सिर्फ मैंने उसको कहा कि उसको ग्राफिक ऑर्गेनाइजर में दे दो या कुछ पिक्टोरियल फॉर्म में दे दो, बिकॉज आई नो दैट द चाइल्ड डज नॉट एबल टू राइट. बट अगर मैं उसको मॉडिफिकेशन के लिए कहूंगी, मॉडिफिकेशन में मैं उसको आइडिएशन के पार्ट को राइट ना करके कहूंगी कि कुछ स्पेलिंग लिख दो. सो हियर आई एम गोइंग टू लोअर डाउन द एक्सपेक्टेशन, बट व्हेन इट कम्स टू एकोमोडेशन द एक्सपेक्टेशन लेवल will not be lowering down. Is it clear? Is it clear, or is it heavy or going beyond?
No. It's clear now.
Okay, yeah. And most important things, like nowadays there is a huge confusion about, okay, whose role is more important? Is it the general teacher who is going to take up the inclusion, or is it the special educator who is going to take up the inclusive education? But at the same time, when we'll talk about the accommodation and modification, the role of both, professionals are important. General teacher also and your special educator also, because the special educator role is to provide intervention to the child, right? अब मैंने बात की थी डेफिशिएंट स्किल्स की. अब यहाँ पे बच्चा क्या करेगा कि जो बच्चे को एक पर्टिकुलर प्रॉब्लम है वो कौन डील कर रहा है यहाँ पर? Who will be dealing with that problem? It will be dealt by the special educator. Like here, I'm talking about the intervention is being given by trained professionals, by special educators, by occupational therapists or speech language. And remediation is on deficient skill. That you need to understand. And where it can be given in the resource room, for example. तो यहाँ पर आपका जो स्पेशल एजुकेटर का रोल आ जाता है. हम कहते हैं कि स्पेशल क्लासेस बच्चों के लिए चाहिए, वो स्पेशल क्लासेस चाहिए, प्लेसमेंट चाहिए, बिकॉज you need to work upon that deficient skills also. So how you can really bring the inclusion, because when you are working on the deficient skill but placing the child in a resource room for 1 or 2 class, it doesn't mean you are excluding the child from the school. The child remain there in the school only, but at the same time some proportion of your school hours are being given on working the deficient skill of your child. Am I clear? Yes, am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now when it comes to accommodation is given by the school teacher. You might be heard about the CBSE concessions and accommodations being given to such children in the board exam. So that exemptions and relaxations basically a part of your accommodations. तो यहाँ पर आपका कौन कर रहा है? यहाँ पे बेसिकली यू आर गोइंग टू गिव सर्टेन काइंड ऑफ मॉडिफिकेशन टू द चाइल्ड इन टर्म ऑफ एक्स्ट्रा टाइम. माय एक्सपेक्टेशन रिमेन द सेम, बट टू कंप्लीट दैट पर्टिकुलर टास्क, इफ अ नॉर्मल चाइल्ड कैन डू द सेम एक्टिविटी इन 3 hours, आई एम गोइंग टू गिव 1 hour extra to that child, but the expectation remains the same, right? And where it could be given, it can be given in the regular classroom. Am I clear till now? This?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So now, the concept of UDL being there, where like when we talk about curriculum adaptation and modification, you're going to present the material in different way. That is representation. You're going to allow the child to express their knowledge in a different way, and you are going to engage or motivate or to create interest among the child in a different way. That's basically your universal design for learning. Okay, now what I want all of you is to do a small exercise where I want all of you to write down these 3 principles, that is representation, engagement, and expression, and how as a teacher you're going to present the material in different way to your child, how you're going to engage the child in different way, and then how you're going to allow your child to demonstrate their knowledge in a different way. Just make a make a table with 3 columns, and on the first row, just write down representation, second write down engagement, and third write down your expression. Then let's see what all you come up with. Am I clear with the activity which I gave you? Yes, am I clear?
Ma'am, repeat it again, ma'am.
अच्छा, इसके अंदर आपने क्या करना है कि बेसिकली मैंने आपको बोला है कि देयर आर 3 प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ यूडीएल, रिप्रेजेंटेशन, एंगेजमेंट एंड एक्सप्रेशन. आप एक टेबल ड्रॉ करो, ठीक है, उसके अंदर 3 जो है अपना डिविजन्स करो, आपके 3 रॉज बन जाएंगी, कॉलम्स बन जाएंगे, और उसमें जो फर्स्ट रो में फर्स्ट कॉलम में आप एक्सप्रेशन लिखोगे, रिप्रेजेंटेशन एंड देन एंगेजमेंट. राइट तृप्ता मैम, are you here?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, shall we wind up, or if you allow me, I can take up your session tomorrow, continue, because again we have some important engagement. I'm so sorry, apologize for cutting.
It's okay, ma'am. You wind up with your activity and give a conclusion.
Okay, so this is the particular activity I want all of you to do, and in the end, rather I would say, like when we'll talk about inclusion is basically it's a journey, not a destination. So where you keep on moving, keep on doing the activities, keep on working each day for the inclusion, and then destination is where we have a welcoming environment for everybody, where we see our society a full inclusive society irrespective of any kind of disability. And I'm so sorry, I really apologize once again for shortening my session because of few engagement with the institution, and again having a meeting now with my director because of the few inspections we have, certain inspection in the institution. So that's really make me to shorten this. But yes, anyhow, Tripta ma'am, like yes, next time definitely I'm going to take up it further and make it.
Next time, ma'am, we will trap you physically so that your director cannot disturb you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. So, ma'am, can I leave now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you all thank you all the participants for listening me and making me a part of this faculty development program. As Tripta ma'am said, I would definitely going to look upon the few sessions in a physical mode where we can really more connect and reflect upon the different activities, and most importantly share the experiences, the cases we have with us, and how to really work upon and make it happen so that we could really have an inclusive society. Thank you.
Right, ma'am. Right, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Tripta ma'am, for inviting me. Thank you.
You're always welcome, ma'am. You have just given the ignition. We will complete the process.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, Dr. Dolly.
हाँ जी मैम, हाँ जी, yes मैम. Thank you.
What's that?
मैम एंड करना ना हुन आपां जी.
Do we have another speaker today? No?
No ma'am. No.
We were having only one speaker, so it's okay. You present the vote of thanks.
ठीक है. Thank you ma'am. I think everyone enjoyed and did very much.
Dr. Dolly, please. Sorry to interrupt you. Before concluding the session, we are having Meena Sharma ma'am. एक 2 मिनट ਆਪਾਂ ਮੀਨਾ ਸ਼ਰਮਾ ਮੈਮ ਨੂੰ ਸੁਣ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਬਿਕੋਜ਼ ਮੀਨਾ ਸ਼ਰਮਾ ਮੈਮ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਸੈਸ਼ਨ ਲੈਣਗੇ 29th ਨੂੰ, ਐਂਡ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਸੈਸ਼ਨ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਫਿਜ਼ੀਕਲ ਸੈਸ਼ਨ ਹੋਏਗਾ. ਸੋ ਓਵਰ ਟੂ ਮੀਨਾ ਦੀਦੀ. ਦੀਦੀ ਪਲੀਜ਼ ਅਨਮਿਊਟ ਕਰ ਲਓ. ਔਰ ਦੀਦੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੱਸ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ, ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਿਹਦਾ ਲੱਗਿਆ ਜਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੀ ਐਕਸਪੈਕਟੇਸ਼ਨਸ ਨੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਵਾਲੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਤੋਂ?
ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਤ੍ਰਿਪਤਾ ਮੈਮ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੇ ਸੈਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਾਲ ਇਨਵੋਲਵ ਕੀਤਾ. ਬਹੁਤ ਅੱਛਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਲਈ ਆਰਗੇਨਾਈਜ਼ ਕੀਤਾ। ਮੈਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਅੱਛਾ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਵਾ ਕਿ ਸੁਸਾਇਟੀ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਫੈਸਰ ਅੱਛੇ ਲੈਕਚਰਰ ਮੇਰੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਲਈ, ਮੈਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਇਹੀ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਦਿਵਿਆਂਗ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਮੇਰੇ ਹੀ ਨੇ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਮੇਰੀ ਖੁਦ ਦੀ ਬੇਟੀ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਆ। ਮੈਨੂੰ ਅੱਜ ਬਹੁਤ ਅੱਛਾ ਲੱਗਿਆ। ਹਾਂ, ਮੈਨੂੰ ਸਿੱਖਣ ਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਕੁਝ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਕਰਦੀ ਹਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦਾ। ਮੈਡਮ ਸੱਚੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਇਹ ਕਿ ਆਪਾਂ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਸਟੱਡੀ ਬਾਰੇ ਹੀ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਵੀ 30-35 ਬੱਚੇ ਇੱਕ ਕਲਾਸ 'ਚ ਬੈਠ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ। ਮੇਰੇ ਕੋਲ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪਹਿਲੀ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ 10ਵੀਂ ਤੱਕ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਸਕੂਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪੜ੍ਹ ਕੇ ਆਏ ਨੇ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਸਰਵ ਸਿੱਖਿਆ ਦੇ ਅੰਡਰ ਇਹ ਸਕੂਲ ਮੈਮ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਫ੍ਰੀ ਆਫ ਕਾਸਟ ਐਜੂਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ। ਪਰ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਮੈਂ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਕਰਦੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖੋ ਯਾਦ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੁਝ ਹੁੰਦਾ। ਅੱਜ ਮੈਂ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਇਆ, ਕੱਲ ਉਹ ਭੁੱਲ ਗਏ, ਕੱਲ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਇਆ, ਪਰਸੋਂ ਭੁੱਲ ਗਏ। ਹਾਂ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਇੱਕ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਹੈ। ਉਹ ਡਿਸੇਬਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦੇ, ਡਿਫਰੈਂਟਲੀ ਏਬਲਡ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ। ਹਰ ਬੱਚੇ ਲਈ ਕਲਾਸ ਜਾਂ ਸਟੱਡੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਖਿਆਲ 'ਚ ਐਜ਼ ਏ ਮਦਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹੈਗੀ। ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਵੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮੈਮ ਡਿਫਰੈਂਟਲੀ ਆਈਡੀਆਜ਼ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਲਈ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਉਣੇ ਚਾਹੀਦੇ ਆ। ਬਾਕੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਖੁਦ ਐਜ਼ ਏ ਲੈਕਚਰਰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਖੁਦ ਸੁਜੈਸ਼ਨ
we will do something. We will do something great. See, it's very difficult to have such child, है ना। सब तो पहला पेरेंट्स का बोल्ड होना बहुत जरूरी है। उस चीज को एक्सेप्ट करना, that is very big thing. ਅਸੀਂ ਇਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਮਝ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ। I really salute your boldness ਦੀਦੀ, ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਹਿੰਮਤ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਉਸ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੂੰ ਕੈਰੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ, ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਟ੍ਰੇਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ। ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੰਨੇ ਸਾਲ 30 years ਤੱਕ ਉਸ ਬੱਚੇ ਦੀ ਟ੍ਰੇਨਿੰਗ ਦੇ ਥਰੂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਖੁਦ ਇੱਕ ਟ੍ਰੇਨਰ, ਇੱਕ ਇੰਸਟੀਟਿਊਸ਼ਨ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਹੋ। ਰੀਅਲੀ ਸੈਲੂਟ ਟੂ ਯੂ ਦੀਦੀ।
ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਜੀ।
ਕਹਿਣਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਆਸਾਨ ਹੈ ਦੀਦੀ। ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਛੋਟੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਵੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਤੇ ਮਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਫੀਲ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਕਿ ਆਪਣਾ ਉਹ ਦਰਦ ਮਾਂ ਨੂੰ, ਬੱਚੇ ਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਥੋੜਾ ਪਿੰਦਾ ਹੋਗਾ ਨਾ, ਤੇ ਮਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਤਲਵਾਰ ਦਾ ਦਰਦ ਹੋਏਗਾ। ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪ ਉਹ ਦੁੱਖ ਸਹਿ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਲੇਕਿਨ ਬੱਚੇ ਦਾ ਦੁੱਖ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਹਿ ਸਕਦੇ। ਐਂਡ ਇਟਸ ਵੈਰੀ ਡਿਫਿਕਲਟ, ਰੀਅਲੀ ਵੈਰੀ ਡਿਫਿਕਲਟ।
ਪਰ ਮੈਮ ਫਿਰ ਵੀ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਥੈਂਕਸ ਹੈ। ਐਜ਼ ਏ ਲੈਕਚਰਰ, ਐਜ਼ ਏ ਟੀਚਰ, ਇੱਕ ਇੰਸਟੀਚਿਊਟ ਦੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਜਣੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਸੰਪਰਦਾਇ ਦੇ ਮਾਲਕ ਖੜੇ ਹੋ, ਮੇਰੇ ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ ਵੀ ਹੋ। ਮੈਂ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਕਰਦੀ ਹਾਂ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਤੋਂ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੇ, ਇਹ ਉਹ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੇ ਮੈਮ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੇ ਰਿਸ਼ਤੇਦਾਰ ਵੀ ਠੁਕਰਾ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ। ਇਹ ਸਿਰਫ ਮਾਂ ਦੀ ਜ਼ਰੂਰਤ ਬਣ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਆ। ਦਾਦਾ ਦਾਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਕਰਨਾ, ਅਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਕਰੀਏ। ਮੈਮ ਆਲਮੋਸਟ ਐਜ਼ ਏ ਮਦਰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮਸ ਆਈਆਂ ਨੇ। ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਅਦਰ ਮਦਰਸ ਵੀ ਜੋ ਇਸ ਗਰੁੱਪ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋਣਗੀਆਂ ਉਹ ਜਾਣਦੀਆਂ ਹੋਣਗੀਆਂ ਆਪਣੀਆਂ ਡਿਫੀਕਲਟੀਜ਼। ਰਿਸ਼ਤੇਦਾਰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜੇ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਣਾ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੂੰ, ਮਤਲਬ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਈਓ, ਬਸ ਸ਼ਗਨ ਦੇ ਕੇ ਚਲੇ ਜਾਈਓ। ਬਹੁਤ ਹਾਂਜੀ, ਸਾਡੀਆਂ ਆਪਣੀਆਂ ਨੀਡਸ, ਸਾਡੀਆਂ ਆਪਣੀਆਂ ਖੁਸ਼ੀਆਂ, ਸਾਡੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਸੁਪਨੇ, ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾੜੀ ਪਾਉਣੀ ਆ, ਅਸੀਂ ਆਹ ਸੂਟ ਪਾਉਣਾ, ਅਸੀਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਅਕੋਰਡਿੰਗ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਦੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਪਕੜਨਾ, ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਖਾਣਾ ਖਿਲਾਉਣਾ। ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੀਆਂ ਹੀ ਜ਼ਰੂਰਤਾਂ ਦੇ ਅਕੋਰਡਿੰਗ ਆਪਣੇ ਕੱਪੜੇ ਵੀ ਵੀਅਰ ਕਰਨੇ ਪੈਂਦੇ ਨੇ, ਫੰਕਸ਼ਨ ਵੀ ਛੱਡਣੇ ਪੈਂਦੇ ਨੇ, ਬਹੁਤ ਕੁਛ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਹੀ ਕਰਨਾ ਪੈਂਦਾ। ਐਜ਼ ਏ ਮਦਰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਇੱਕ ਬਹੁਤ ਟਫ ਜੌਬ ਆ, ਪਰ ਭਗਵਾਨ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇੰਨੀ ਸ਼ਕਤੀ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਹੋਈ ਆ। ਮੈਂ ਭਗਵਾਨ ਦਾ ਵੀ ਥੈਂਕਸ ਕਰਦੀ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਗਿਫਟ ਆਈਟਮਾਂ ਦਿੰਦਾ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਭਰੋਸਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਵੀ ਹਾਂ ਇਹ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਸੰਭਾਲ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ। ਬਸ ਮੈਂ ਇੰਨਾ ਕਰਦੀ ਹਾਂ।
ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਸਹੀ। ਦੀਦੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹੋਵੋਗੇ ਨਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ 29 ਨੂੰ ਕਾਲਜ ਆ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ?
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਆਵਾਂਗੇ। 29 ਨੂੰ 30 ਨੂੰ
ਮੈਂ ਦੇਖ ਕੇ ਦੱਸਦੀ ਹਾਂ, ਲਾਸਟ 30 ਨੂੰ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ, 29 ਨੂੰ ਸੰਡੇ ਹੈ ਨਾ।
ਹਾਂਜੀ 30 ਨੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਆਉਂਗੀ।
तृप्ता मैम,
हाँ जी
मैम मैं बोलना चाहती हूँ, इट्स अ ग्रेट इनिशिएटिव कि यू आर इनवाइटिंग मैडम मीना। I have never heard, मैंने कभी नहीं सुना है इस टाइप से कि somebody is asking some parent to come and वो आए और अपनी अपनी क्या जर्नी है वो शेयर करे। It's a great thing which मतलब I have learned so many things from your platform from yesterday. Like I always learn. मैं पिछले बार में भी मैंने join किया था, but this is something which is really touching not only me, I think rest of the parents also, सबको, because she is the one. Yes ma'am, she is the one who is sitting over here. She is the one जो जानती है कि एक बच्चे को पालना, एक डिसेबल बच्चे को पालना is not at all easy. people being outsiders वो सिर्फ दूर से देख के sympathy दे सकते हैं, but जो actually this lady or anybody, you know, we are going through, no one who can understand.
सिंपथी भी नहीं, कई बार ये होता है ना कि when such children create mess, कुछ mess करते हैं तो लोग सिंपथी भी नहीं, they just hate also.
Yes, ma'am.
ये होता है, ये होता है.
Yes, ma'am. मैं luckily I am from such a background, or you know, we live in such a society that they know they understand, ma'am. तो अभी लेकिन जब गांव वगैरह में जाते हैं ना तो it becomes I feel कि वहाँ लाइफ ज्यादा टफ है. सिटीज में फिर भी एक बार को दो लोग अंडरस्टैंड, यू नो, वी हैव दैट फैसिलिटीज. गाँव में तो लोग सोचते भी नहीं है एक बार सोचने से पहले कि व्हाट दे आर सेइंग, और दूसरे को कितना तकलीफ हो सकता है उससे.
वो ह्यूमन बीइंग ही है, वो इग्नोर कर देते कि बस ठीक है, ये पढ़ा तो पढ़ा रहने दो.
ये इट इज कॉल्ड लैक ऑफ अवेयरनेस, मैम. बट ये बहुत अच्छी बात है कि मैम यू आर इनवाइटिंग मैडम मीना, वो आएंगी, अपने चीजें शेयर करेंगी, थोड़ा इमोशनल भी होंगे सब, बट यू नो व्हाट शी विल शेयर. Yes, ma'am. What she will share is. But it is, ma'am. But ma'am, वो तो offline है ना. How we will attend? हम तो नहीं attend कर पाएंगे.
हम online और YouTube कल की तरह से साथ में चलेगा ना.
Okay.
अगर आप उसमें इंटरेक्टिव रह सकते हो, Google Meet भी चलेगी, YouTube भी रहेगा.
अच्छा, okay, ma'am. Okay. अच्छा.
वो हाइब्रिड सेशन ही होगा, हाइब्रिड.
ओके मैम. मीना मैम बोल रही थी तो मुझे लगा आज तो आंसू निकलने वाले.
अरे नहीं मैम, अपनी कमजोरी ठीक है तो थैंक यू. अपनी कमजोरी को ही अपनी ताकत बनाना चाहिए मैम, मैंने वो बनाया है.
जी मैम जी. हाँ जी.
हाँ चलो ठीक है. आज का टाइम थोड़ा सा उन्होंने छोड़ दिया था, वो हमने मीना मैम के साथ थोड़ा सा उसको एक्सपीरियंस शेयर करके थोड़ा सा अपने इसको बोलते हैं फीलिंग्स की परगेशन होना. मैं इंग्लिश लिटरेचर में हूँ ना, तो दिस इज अ प्योरिफिकेशन ऑफ अवर फीलिंग्स. हमारे मन की किसी के दर्द को महसूस करके जब हम बोलते हैं, दैट इज द प्योरिफिकेशन. हम खुद कुंदन हो जाते हैं.
मैम द मोड ऑफ सेशन, मैम इट्स अ रिक्वेस्ट. मुझे ऐसा लगता है मोड ऑफ एनी सेशन शुड बी लाइक बोथ हिंदी एंड इंग्लिश बोथ, सो दैट जो सुनने वाले क्योंकि अभी देखिए हिंदी तो एवरीबडी नोज हिंदी, राइट? तो वो तो आप ज्यादा पहुंच पाएगा लोगों तक.
ठीक है, वी विल टेक केयर कि हर जो चीज है वो दोनों लैंग्वेजेस में रहे. ये सारा कुछ अवेलेबल भी है यूट्यूब चैनल SPS कॉलेज ऑफ एजुकेशन. अगर आप सर्च मारोगे तो यूट्यूब पे यू विल गेट एवरीथिंग. ठीक है जी. थैंक यू सो मच फॉर बीइंग विद अस. नाउ ओवर टू डॉक्टर जॉली.
यस मैम. मैं एक गल कहना चाहती हाँ कि परमात्मा ने सारे जो पैदा किए ने ना, किसी ਨੂੰ ਆਪਾਂ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਸਕਦੇ ਵੀ ਸਾਰੇ ਸੰਪੂਰਨ ਨੇ, ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਐਬਿਲਿਟੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ. ਆਪਾਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਕਿਤੇ ਨਾ ਕਿਤੇ ਡਿਸੇਬਲ ਹਾਂ. ਤਾਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇੱਥੇ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਦੀ ਤੁਕ ਯਾਦ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਹੈ, ਜਿੱਥੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਮਾਨਸ ਕੀ ਜਾਤ ਸਭ ਹੈ ਏਕੇ ਪਹਿਚਾਨ ਵੋ. ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਪਛਾਣਨ ਦੀ ਜ਼ਰੂਰਤ ਹੈ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਐਬਿਲਿਟੀ ਹੈ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਬਾਹਰ ਕੱਢੀਏ ਤਾਂ ਜੋ ਸਮਾਜ ਲਈ ਲਾਹੇਵੰਦ ਬਣਾਇਆ ਜਾ ਸਕੇ, ਅਸੀਂ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਫਾਇਦਾ ਲੈ ਸਕੀਏ, ਬੈਨੀਫਿਟ ਲੈ ਸਕੀਏ. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. I would like to call upon our respected principal, Dr. Tripta Parmar, for formal vote of thanks. Please, ma'am.
Actually, this was to be presented by the moderator. Anyhow, I, on behalf of management, faculty and students of Sant Darbara Singh College of Education and my collaborating agencies, Guru Ramdas B.Ed College, Jalalabad West, Canwe College of Education, Abohar, Himalaya University, Uttarakhand, extends a heartfelt thanks to today's resource person, Dr. Bansal. Though she was too busy with her official works, yet she gave us some time, and that time is very very valuable for us. She has ignited the spark in us. We will be working on the idea she has initiated. So we can see on the screen with Meena ma'am, her daughter, that she wants to, all my heartfelt thanks to all, to the organizing secretaries, to the organizing panel, and today's moderator, Dr. S.K. Jolly. Thank you so much. डॉली मैम थोड़ा सा आई थिंक सो कि मीना मैम दी बेटी शी वांट्स टू स्पीक ਤੁਸੀਂ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਕੇ ਦੇਖੋ क्या मोना उधर नाम शायद मोना मीना दीदी हाँ जी मोना उसका नाम है ना मोना उसका नाम मनी हेलो हाउ आर यू की हाल है मनी
I am fine.
Very good.
हाँ साढ़े कॉलेज आएगी ना मनी हाँ
ठीक है 30 तारीख को आएगी ये
हाँ मंडे नु सोमवार नु मिलांगे मनी ओके
ठीक है चलो ठीक है मैम
ओके ओके थैंक यू सो मच गॉड ब्लेस यू ऑल
Thank you, ma'am. Let's we all stand up for the respect of national anthem.
God bless you both.
ऑडियो कर दो गुरप्रीत माइक ऑन करो गुरप्रीत माइक ऑफ है तो
पंजाब सिंध गुजरात विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाने तव जय मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय जय जय
Thank you everyone. See you tomorrow at 12. कल ਨੂੰ 12 बजे same platform पे. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.